I think we're recording, right? Yeah, done. Good. Okay, so we've landed. Okay, I'm Torik Holmes. I'm the captain of the good ship practice, and I've got with me today my two shipmates who'd like to introduce themselves.
So I'm an explorer, kind of anthropologist looking around the world of practice theory, and my name is Elizabeth Shove.
Hi, I'm Natalia Martini, and I'm a pirate. I might steal some of your ideas.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks both. And who are we visiting today? Do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, I don't know exactly who I am and what role I have, but I know what my name is, and that's Mikkel Nøjgaard. Yeah, I'm from Denmark.
Perfectly. Thanks, Mikkel. Right. So, as you know, Mikkel, we're virtually traveling around the world in the good ship practice. We're visiting PhDs, early career researchers working with theories of practice. And we're going to be just running through some questions today to learn a bit more about yourself, where you are, and what you do. So the first question, easy one to go. Tell us something about where you are right now.
Yeah, so I'm in Denmark right now. I'm actually at my parents' house. They live about 5 minutes away, and it has sort of turned into my office during this whole Corona lockdown and everything, because there's too many interesting things to do at home. So this is where I go to try to be productive, because I don't have the discipline to be that at home.
Cool. Could you be a bit more specific? Where are you exactly in Denmark? Is there a local
Yeah,
time?
so it's a city of Denmark called Odense on an island called Funen. So yeah, that's how specific I can get, I think.
No worry, thank you. And what is it that you do?
So I'm a PhD researcher, a PhD student, partly financed by the University of Southern Denmark, which is in Odense, the place where I am right now. But then it's also co-financed by the University of Lille in France. And so I've also spent part of my studies in France, in Lille. But right now I'm staying in Denmark.
Wonderful. So where did you first encounter practice theory?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, because I think I've been working with practice theory already, even though I'm very early in my career. I feel like I've been working with it for quite some years now. Before I became a PhD student, I was also a research assistant for 3 years, where I first encountered some of these ideas. But I think I actually came to practice theory through actor network theory. So that was my first sort of theoretical interest, the first theoretical tradition that I really became interested in. And I think what I liked about action network theory was that it's processual ontology, right? So if you look at the writings of Bruno Latour, for example, and his work on laboratories and laboratory studies, what he does is he looks at what scientists do. So he's trying to explain how facts emerge from the practices of scientists. And I really liked that idea. I thought that was very useful to sort of deconstruct what is a fact and what is reality by looking at doing practices. But what I didn't like so much about action network theory was, I don't know how exactly to put this, but the style of it. I mean, I enjoy reading Latour, but there's also this predilection for complexity for the sake of complexity, and I think that just goes a bit against my own taste in academic research. So that eventually led me to practice theory, because I think you find many of the same ideas here: processual ontology, relational ontology. So that really resonated with me. But then practice theory also offered a much neater framework, in a sense, right? So especially if you look at the writings of Schatzky and also you, Elizabeth, where you have these elements framework, or these components of practices. That is very neat, and so that resonated with me, that style of theorizing, I think. So I think ANT and practice theory, if they start a similar phenomena, similar questions, they do oftentimes end up coming at the same conclusions. It's very much about the putting together of elements, the linking of elements, or assembling networks in actor network speak. But I just like the style of practice theory more. I think that's sort of my that's how I came to it, I think. Yeah.
Great, and you've already touched upon this, but what attracted you or still attracts you to practice theory? If you could name the main attractive component.
Yeah. So as I said, well, I could also try to answer that question from another angle, I suppose. So I should also have said when I introduced myself, I should probably have said that I do consumer research. Which you could consider a subdiscipline of marketing research. And one thing that I was frustrated with about consumer research was that that this is a field that explains. I was a bit frustrated with the way that consumer research often explains why consumers do the things that they do. So for a long time, the main idea, the basic idea, the underlying idea of the consumer was that consumers, they are always rational. And that's very much the notion of consumers that you have in economics, for example. They're always rational. They always take rational decisions. But then, later you had this, you had the emergence also of interpretive or culturalist paradigm within consumer research. And there the idea is that consumers, they're sort of symbolic beings, right? They do things, they consume to acquire status, to reflect their identity, and so on. So they're very, socialized in a sense. And I think I just never, and the idea here was that consumers, they're never really rational, right? They're never really consuming things just because of their functionality. It's always about what things mean to them and what it signals to others. And I think I never really agreed with any of these, I don't know if you can call them extremist positions or extremist portrayals of the consumer. Either, as someone who's very rational, always rational, rational or never rational. And I think, practice theory, at least to me, offers a very convincing, or at least to me, appealing account of consumer behavior or human behavior, because it makes room for understanding both consumers as symbolic beings, but also as rational beings. I mean, consumers, they are very complex beings, right? They do what makes sense to them. And sometimes it makes sense to them to be rational. Sometimes it makes sense to them to be less rational, to be more emotional and symbolic. But what matters here is that, it's the practice that puts them into these sort of positions. What makes sense to them depends on the practices that they're engaged in. And that allows for us, I mean, if we understand that to be the sort of the logic of consumer behavior, what drives consumer behavior, the practices that consumers engage in, then we can suddenly, then we have a much more expansive, then we allow for a much more expansive analysis of consumer behavior. So I think that's at least part of the appeal to me, this expansion notion of human behavior, what's driving human behavior, and we can get rid of some of these overly reductionist portrayals of human behavior. I think that's at least one thing that I like.
Great, thank you. And what particular ideas are you working with currently?
Yeah, so that's a difficult question, I think, I also thought a bit about this question when you asked me to talk to you, because the honest answer would be that I don't really work with any of these ideas. At least not. I don't work with the theories, right? I've read the theories and I'm hugely inspired by the theories and practice theory in general. But I don't work explicitly with any of these theories or theoretical terms that you get from what's conventionally defined as practice theory. So I'd say, I would say that practice theory is closer to my philosophy in a sense. It's my ontology. It's how I approach, the study of social phenomena. And here I think that practice theory is really useful. So I'm studying markets, for example, given that, I'm a consumer researcher, a marketing researcher. So I look at how markets are made. So I don't take markets to be these ready-made things, but I look at how markets are made through various practices. And I'm, for example, here inspired by Michel Calon, who I would also, in a sense, I mean, he's a actor network theorist, but you could also consider him a practice theorist, at least, in my mind. and I'm looking at some of his idea of how products are qualified through practical trials, right? So the idea that products, they don't just have intrinsic qualities, you have to do something with the products to make these qualities emerge or to be revealed in a sense. And my project is partly on product reviews, and I'm looking then at product reviewing and product reviews as a sort of practice that then assigns quality to products. So here there's a huge emphasis on markets in the making, and that resonates a lot with practice theory thinking, I think. But it's not something that you conventionally classify as practice theorizing, perhaps. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No. Well. I'm some kind of anthropologist, and I'm interested in tribes and local populations. So these are really interesting ideas, and there's lots of potential in marketing and consumer research and practices. So I'm wondering, are you part of a group, or are you just sitting there having these great ideas on your own?
So I'm definitely not having these ideas on my own. I don't think I can take all the credit there. No, not in any way. I have a supervisor who has been a strong influence on me. It's Niklas Verman, who is a practice theorist, or I think that's how he would identify himself at least. And I'm in a group that's very sympathetic to practice theory ideas. They're not doing practice theory themselves, but it's a group of interpretive consumer researchers. So we are a very diverse group, but what unites us is this interpretive approach to studying consumption. And also qualitative interpretive approaches.
Great.
So I have many to discuss these ideas with, but not many who are sort of part of the practice theory community, so to speak.
Yeah. Now then, that brings us to the map. You've seen the map. We found you because you were on the map. And I guess we would be curious to know where we should take the ship next. So is there anywhere you would like us, just one person you'd like us to visit? Because maybe we could include them on our journey.
Yes, and now I had a person in mind, but now I'm actually a bit in doubt whether he's on the map. So I'm hoping he's on the map. But it would be Ignaz Bruder. Do you know? Is he on the map? Yes. Oh, great. Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, he's sometimes on the boat.
Okay. Okay. Great. No, it's just I attended some of these practice theory reading rooms that Lancaster University is hosting or organizing, and they're really great. I can recommend them to everyone who's listening to this. I've really just listening to them, I've learned so much, I feel like. But there I also got the chance to listen to him, and his comments are always so insightful, I think. And for me also really eye-opening. Like his perspectives are really, I always learn something when I hear his opinions.
We'll see. I think he might be a bit inland, but perhaps we can get off the boat, and I don't know how we're going to handle that. We'll deal with that.
You need another transportation vehicle.
Yeah.
We can maybe get a barge.
Yeah. So, but we're going on our travels, and we won't want to forget you or this conversation. So we asked you to provide some kind of souvenir that we can add to our collection. Well, start our collection with. So do you have anything you'd like to give us as we go on our way?
Yes, I do actually. I don't know if I should share it in any way or what would be the most appropriate.
It depends what it is. You could hold it up.
Okay, I can describe it at first. So I've taken a picture of my pet fish in my home aquarium.
Okay.
First of all, because you have a long travel ahead of you, so it's not nice with some travel mates. And he's a really nice mate, so I suppose he would also be a nice travel mate. And then also the next reason would be that I feel like the internet is just flowing with pictures of dogs and kittens, so we need more pictures of fish. They're really awesome pets, so that's my small contribution.
Okay, well, I hope you won't be missing this fish too much, because we are going to take this fish away.
I have plenty of other fish, so no worries.
Okay, well, we'll add the picture That won't be difficult. So thank you very much.
Ahoy.
We'll see you again on our travels.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Good
Goodbye.
luck on your travels and take care.